Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this special figure showcase, mini review and comparison, what we're going to be looking at is the new Legacy United. This is the 4-pack coming up, which is of course Cliffjumper versus these three Decepticons, which of course isn't very fair at all. So you've probably already noticed on this channel we've done individual video reviews and transformation process for all of these figures. I've also done a few comparisons with, you know, the older molds, etc. But what I like to do is get the whole pack together so you can get to see them all in one mini review, and of course do exactly what I'm going to do now, which is show you, I suppose, the main differences, upgrades, or I suppose maybe not upgrades between the figures that of course these have came from. I'm going to start off with the easiest one, and that is of course Squeezeplay. The reason why this is the easiest is because this is his first improved figure since the Generation 1 days. So this is the Generation 1 figure. You can obviously tell that it's a good homage to it. But let's be honest, this I like them because I'm biased, because I love the transfer. I love Generation 1, that's what I grew up with. This one is much more articulate. I know it's a reuse, heavy retool and reuse of, you know, the old Mind Wipe mold, etc. I was going to bring him in, but because it is so different, I didn't really want to. The biggest difference for this is from the original is the original head folds down, this one folds up. They've made it look like he's got some legs on the back there, whereas the legs on the G1 were actually used for the alternate mode, whereas with these are the legs in the new mode. They've also, instead of got a headmaster, it is still a headmaster, but the gimmick doesn't work, whereas with the Generation 1 figures the gimmicks did work, whereas this is just painted on. It is the same readings by the looks of it, but obviously it's not there. You've got very similar weapons, as in you've got a gun and you've got, I suppose, a shield, but of course I love the inclusion of this being a little Browning figure rather than anything else. So obviously massive improvements. I know a lot of people aren't happy that this is again a retool of an old figure and they wanted it to be a new mold. I think the reason why we didn't get it is because he's not that well known. As I say, if you think that this figure first came out in 1988 and this is its first update, whereas obviously Cliffjumper and a few of the others, they've had quite a few updates, so I would presume that that would be the exact reason. So there you go, there's the first one, that is Squeezeplay. Let's move them out of the way. I'm going to go for Tarantulas now because there's only two of them that I've got of this. So this again is, we're not going with the original molds because unfortunately I don't have one, as in the original figure, sorry, from the original Beast Wars in the late 90s. So obviously we've got very different colour schemes, but as I found out in the review, we've also got different head sculpt, which is great. Because this head sculpt is completely different and it really does make a massive difference into how the figure looks. To be honest, I can't pick my favourite between the two. I think they're both good for their own reasons. Well, the one thing I would like to say is the silver there seems to work much better with this particular figure than the silver does on that one. That's just, I suppose, the only real major, there's no real difference apart from that. The mold's the same apart from the head, everything. You can see even the holes in the back, even the paints on there, the details are there. They're just, again, just slightly different paints. So yeah, that's probably the next easiest, and again, apologies, I don't have an original Beast Wars Tarantulas figure. Right, let's move on to Tarn now. This is one, I don't know if it's surprising or not, but I mean, this figure's what, just over a year old, and we've already got 3 uses of the mold, including the original. So you can hopefully see there is a huge difference in the colors. With this one, you get, yeah, I think you get a little more translucent plastic. That's translucent there. Somebody did leave in the comments that it did look like a clown face. I can completely see what they're saying. The weapons and accessories are the same apart from the added sword, and that is, of course, again, if you've seen the review of this particular figure, it's just a painted purple version of the sword from the other use of this mold, which was, of course, bludgeon. I'm thinking, to be honest, I'm liking the colour scheme for this particular 4-pack version of Tarn for the weapons and accessories, but maybe preferring the actual overall colour scheme for the original Tarn here. Again, Tarn is a figure, and in fact a character that I knew nothing about at all, having not read the IDW comics yet, so I hadn't got to him. Again, mold exactly the same, colours are different, you just get an added bonus sword. I'm just checking if the head sculpts are the same. They are, they're just painted differently. Everything on this else, guys, looks to be exactly the same. Obviously that's just the same part as what's in there, so there's nothing missing with that. So that's Tarn done. moving on to what for me is the most awkward, and the reason for that is because obviously he is a retool of this mould, but he's an upgrade of this figure. And yes, I know, and again, thank you to the people who reminded me in the comments, I don't actually have the first edition of the Transformers Prime Cliffjumper figure, whereas loads of people have said that this is an awful mould. It isn't the greatest, I'm going to be honest, but the original one is much better. So unfortunately I can't do a full comparison with that. The purpose of this, as I say, is just to show you, I suppose, A, the evolution of from that to this, which I think is much better, and B, again, just to show you how they've managed to take this particular figure and turn it into that. So I think it's clever. And as I said, in the main views, we've got the differences on the back. Obviously the wings are sort of the same, but this whole part here is different. There's no light bar. The backs of the legs are all exactly the same. We've got a difference on the front of the vehicle. So with the new one, this is the front of the vehicle. With this, it's the back of the vehicle. The accessories are the same, they're just painted differently. There's obviously a new head sculpt. And I think, to be honest, that the car is pretty much exactly the same shape, apart from the new bits around there. But as I said, this is just a very quick bonus video to have a look at all four of them in a row, and just to see, I suppose, what you think and whether you think it's worthwhile buying it. Because again, if we're being completely honest, they are all just new, what's the word I'm after, redecos of existing molds. And I do appreciate people's frustrations of the fact that, you know, you perhaps only might want one figure, and I know loads of people, and I'm a member of loads of different groups on Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. And what I suggest people do is they all, you know, they work together, buy a pack, and then get the ones that you want. Or you can, of course, just do what everybody else will do, is buy them and then sell the ones you want. But to stop that happening, I suggest get a pack with a couple of friends, or a couple of, I don't know, friends you meet online who want this one, etc, etc. That's the easiest way, and that's what I know loads of people have done with the previous Buzzworthy Bumblebee 4-pack releases as well. There you go, guys. Anyway, that is the 4-pack from Legacy. And one last thing, of course, you'll all be pleased to know, if you've not seen any of the videos yet, that the packaging does have the window back in it as well. So I think this is the first figure back from Transformers which is going to have the window in it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of these in the comments. Take care.